Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be continuing with our reaction to No Direction Home. This is part B. We did do part A. As I was saying to you in my last upload for Bob Dylan, I do have a piece of part A. If you'd like to see that, I could just edit that and stitch it together with this part, and then we could do it for part C, and we could just have like one thing or something, and maybe it'll be on Patreon if we can add it to YouTube or something. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so we're just gonna jump into part B, and we'll see. So let me just scooch out of the way. Part A was really interesting. We got like a lot of like good insight in terms of like Bob Dylan's influences, where he's from, how he felt about where he was from, how he felt about the music, how he felt about New York City, how he felt about Greenwich Village, how he felt about people like Liam Clancy and the influence they had on him. So that was like really good to see. It was really good to see the musicians that really inspired him and how that changed and shaped his music. So yeah, now we're going to part B. So we're gonna see what we've got here. Let me just put on my headphones, unmute, and we could just jump in.
I say it's to the interest of every human being in the United States of America to get some good senators out of Mississippi for a change, and you can do it, and you will do it soon, I know. I have a hammer, I hammer in the morning, I hammer in the evening, all over this land. I have freedom, I hammer out freedom.
Okay.
I hammer out hammer out love, hammer out love, the king, my brothers and the sisters, all the time.
I got him to go with Pete and Theodore Bickel. They were both going down to the south.
Dame Edgar Evers was buried from the bullet he caught.
And I encouraged him to go with them, and he did, as part of an education.
The civil rights movement was in full swing, and there was a big field outside Greenwood with several hundred people. I heard some speechifying there that
I just want to say, because it really stands out to me. Like a lot of the times when I see the people who were in Bob's life, I'm just like so grateful for those people because, of course, he's a very intelligent, very smart kid, but also like these people who are saying, yeah, go down here so that you can have an educational experience. Like they are contributing so much value to him and like how he sees the world. And I'm just like really grateful for those people. Like I don't want them to be overlooked,
Was buried from the bullet he caught.
And I encouraged him to go with them, and he did, as part of an education.
the civil rights movement was in full swing, and there was a big field outside Greenwood with several hundred people. I heard some speechifying there that I'll never forget in all my life. And I remember Bob singing a song which really caused people to think. He's only a pawn in the game. He was singing about the man who killed Medgar Evers. In other words, don't just think of this one man who did this murder, but think of the whole situation.
To be on the side of people who are struggling for something doesn't necessarily mean you're being political.
Oh my.
And that's one thing that I want to say about being a pawn in their game. And I was going to say this on the review for The Times They Are Changing. Now, I've never heard only a pawn in their game before. So I don't have like the whole picture, and I don't have the full intention of like what he's going for when he writes a song. Like sometimes some things will come through to me and sometimes other things will not come through to me. But I think what comes through to me is still valuable. And so for me, the way I received the song was that like, him being a pawn in the game is like, I feel like we need to change our thinking and not just settle for being pawns in somebody else's games, because we have a lot more power than we think. Now, of course, I also think that there are many, many layers and angles that you can take to this song and many conversations that you can have. So the fact that we want to challenge government and all these different things, I think is definitely like a valid part of the conversation. And I think what I appreciate about the song the most is the fact that like the song can start so many conversations. It can spark so many emotions. And I think like when I was editing it, I was like, he did a remarkable job. He did a remarkable job because it pulled feelings out of me, you know, to the point where I would have taken this to somebody else and said, hey, what do you think about the song? And then they would have said, hey, I actually think it's about X, Y, and Z. And we could have started having more conversations and thinking more practically about these situations. So, you know, that's how I genuinely feel about like Only a Pawn in the Game. I feel like it was just, I think it's a beautiful song. And I think, you know, it's set out, whatever it's set out to do, it has accomplished, and it's done so really, really well.
A pawn in the game. He was singing about the man who killed Medgar Evers. In other words, don't just think of this one man who did this murder, but think of the whole situation.
To be on the side of people who are struggling for something doesn't
Makes
necessarily
sense.
mean you're being political.
Oh, my name, it ain't nothing.
Just being a human
My
being.
age, it means less. The country I come from is called the Midwest. I was taught and brought up there, the laws to abide, and that the land that I live in has God on its side.
I would say that Bob was gifted, and it was flowering. He had a great desire to change the world. We even talked about it. We thought that segregation wasn't going to last, and that we were going to have something to do with ending it. We really believed we were going to have a part as songwriters in changing the world.
I feel like for me, like that's also like, and I've said this multiple times on the channel, but it's honestly like one of the most remarkable things that I've felt with the music of this time. And I feel like across genres, across artists, the messaging, their interest in societal issues in terms of what's happening around them remains consistent. I'm just so impressed by that. I'm so impressed that he's saying, as songwriters, we thought that we could change the world, because indeed you can. Indeed you can. Like when somebody's not going to go to a political science class or go to some other class about socioeconomics or whatever, or what is it called, sociology, you know, they will listen to a song, and a song is 3 minutes, and so much can be communicated in 3 minutes. And this is one of the reasons I feel like music as an art form is understudied, because especially the writing that goes into music, because so much is communicated. So interesting that they were thinking that way, because it is 100% true. So cool, so cool, and so much talent, and look at how young he is. Oh,
We even talked about it. We thought that segregation wasn't going to last, and that we were going to have something to do with ending it. We really believed we were going to have a part as songwriters in changing the world.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry.
whoa.
You know your mama was born to die.
Oh, amazing voice she
I had
has.
first laid eyes on Bob in Gertie's Folk City. I had been told about him. This guy's a genius, and he writes these incredible songs.
She's a beauty.
And he admires Woody Guthrie and all this stuff. It was very dubious, you know, when people raved about somebody other than myself. But I went, and sure enough, he's everything that they'd said he was. We both had our baby fat. That's what I think of when I look at the early pictures. Smooth skin, baby fat. We were really young. Bob looked like a ragamuffin. Probably one of the things I found so appealing about him. He would bring out the mother instinct in a woman who thought her mother instinct was dead. He came out and stayed with me in a beautiful house in Carmel Valley. Bob liked to write there, and he would just stand tapping away at that typewriter. He would always say, what do you think of this? And I wouldn't understand that typewriter in Carmel Valley.
She's funny. Her mimicking of him sounds like him, based on what I've heard. And yeah, like she sounds like he sounds in the interview just now. That's so interesting. Let me scooch over to this camera just a little bit. Does it fix? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's keep on going. Don't forget about it.
He came out and stayed with me in a beautiful house in Carmel Valley. Bob liked to write there, and he would just stand tapping away at that typewriter. He would always say, what do you think of this? And I wouldn't understand the thing at all, but I loved it. So I read, well, okay, I'm going to figure this one out. So I read through it, and I gave back my interpretation of what I thought it was about. He said, oh, that's pretty fucking good. So, you know, a bunch of years from now, all these people, all these assholes are going to be writing about all this shit I write. I don't know where the fuck it comes from. I don't know what the fuck it's about. And they're going to write about what it's about.
Oh, the time will come up when the winds will
So much
stop
charisma.
and the breeze will cease to be breathing. Like the stillness in the wind before the hurricane begins. The hour that the ship comes in. And the sea will split and the ships will hit. And the sands on the shoreline will be shaking.
Bob would write, just write and write and write. And one time we pulled into some place, and I was okay by then, you know, bare feet or not, I was famous. But this scruffy-looking guy I had with me, and the people behind the desk were having none of it, and they said they didn't have a room, they didn't have an... And of course I was livid and pulled all my punches and got him a room. And he wrote a song that was devastating, The Hour the Ship Comes In. And I could see him hanging them all. He'd never sort of fess up to that sort of thing, but that's what it seemed like to me, working out whatever feelings he might have had about not being given a room in a brilliant song in one night.
And they'll raise their hands, saying we'll meet all your demands, but we'll shout from the bow, your days are numbered. And like Pharaoh's tribe, they'll be drowned in the tide, and like Goliath, they'll be conquered.
The mind of Bob Dylan is a fascinating thing because, I mean, you know, somebody offends me, you know what I'm saying, slights me by not giving me a room. I am not writing this song. Inspiring, truly. What? He said, "Who shot from the bow? Your days are numbered." Come on, man.
And like Pharaoh's tribe, they'll be drowned in the tide.
What is he doing? This is so funny. He was what, 22 here, 23? Like, what? Why are you writing like this? Because somebody denied you a room. I love that. Oh God, that's great.
And like Goliath, they'll be conquered.
Okay.
You had country folks and city folks there. We purposely tried to mix it up at Newport.
You've got a way to keep me on your side. You give me cause for love that I can't hide. For you, I know I'd even try to turn the tide. Because you're mine, I walk the line.
There was Johnny Cash.
I love that.
Keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
And then you had O.J. Abbott singing some of the ballads he knew as a young man working in the lumber camps. Right side by side.
I love the way she kisses. She loves me all the time. I love the way she kisses.
There were 15,000 people, and that seemed to me just immense.
Of course.
Everyone was there who played folk music, you know, old and
Amazing.
you know, sort of younger people too.
We kind
No,
of bonded
man.
in a way that the music-wise, you know, what we were singing and what he was writing.
A bullet from the back of a bush took Medgar.
Just like, what a rich environment to be in. People talk about a conducive environment. That is a rich environment to be in. Amazing. Whoa.
Ever's blood. A finger fired the trigger to his name. A handle hit out in the dark. A hand sent the spark. Two eyes took the aim. Behind a man's brain. But he can't be blamed. He's only a pawn in their game.
I was the only singer there probably singing the songs that he'd written. And most likely 2 years earlier to that, I wouldn't have been able to get into Newport.
You got more than the blacks, don't complain. You're better than them, you've been born with white skin, they explain.
It was quite a sensation.
Negro's name is
He was singing a lot of what they called then protest songs. I've always hated that designation. And it was very much in the spirit of the time. Pete and the crowd around Broadside magazine had fallen head over heels in love with him.
Well, that makes sense.
Edgar Rivers was buried from the bullet he caught. They lowered him down as a king. But when the shadowy sun sets on the one that fired the gun, you'll see by his grave, on the stone that remains, carved next to his name, his epitaph plain, only a pawn in their game.
There was Woody Guthrie, transitioned to Pete Seeger, who carried on Woody's tradition. Now, who was to carry on from Pete Seeger? And in that spot really came Bob Dylan. So we began to recognize that Bobby would be the continuation in that tradition.
I wrote this song. It tells a story if you... if you like stories. Well, maybe it doesn't tell a story.
Quick on his
Very,
feet.
very exciting. I felt, you know, as though like Bob was my pal. We were involved in the same thing, and I knew he was going to be a massive star, and I liked that.
I like her honesty. How I call that candid, frank. Okay.
Let me see something. We just have to sing one, that's all. That's the introduction.
Oh, my name, it is nothing. My age, it means less. The country I come from is called the Midwest. I was taught and brought up.
I'm really sorry to say I'm not liking the duo. I'm so sorry. I don't like it. I prefer him by himself. I'm sorry. Maybe you'll agree on me. I don't know.
And at the land that I live in has God on his side.
Like it's sounding a little too gospel.
They tell it so well. The cavalry's charge, the Indians fell. The cavalry's charge, the Indians died. For the country was young, with God on his side.
I wrote a lot of songs in a quick amount of time. I could do that then because the process was new to me. I felt like I discovered something no one else had ever discovered, and I was in a certain arena artistically that no one else had ever been in before, ever. And although I might have been wrong about that.
One time ago, a crazy dream came to me. I dreamt I was walking in World War III. I went to the doctor the very next day to see what kind of words you had to say. He said it was a bad dream.
True, William.
I was on top of this 12-foot
Third world.
station, and I had a long lens. I was looking at Bob Dylan coming out on stage.
Well, down the corner by the hot dog stand, I seen another man. I said, howdy, friend, I guess it's just us two. He screamed, and down the road he flew. Thought I was a communist.
He was Charlie Chaplin. He was Dylan Thomas. He talked like Woody Guthrie. He was constantly moving.
More time passed, and now it seems everybody's having them dreams. Everybody sees herself walking around with nobody else. Well, all the people can be half right some of the time. Some of the people can be all right part of the time. But all the people can't be all right all of the time. Abraham Lincoln said that. I'll let you be in my dream if I can be in yours. I said that.
In old Irish mythology, they talk about the shape changers. He changed voices, he changed images. And it wasn't necessary for him to be a definitive person. He was a receiver. He was possessed. And he articulated what the rest of us wanted to say but couldn't say.
How many roads must a man walk down?
Yeah, I can imagine that that must have been fascinating to witness this person somehow channeling all these different personalities and energies and voices and messages and all these different things. And I can definitely see a lot of that coming through. And I'd have to say that, like, witnessing him in this video footage does something for the musical experience that only makes it that much better. So that's really exciting to witness, and I'm looking forward to like seeing more of like his live performances and things. I mean, any sort of like other kind of works of Bob Dylan that I could also get my hands on, I think would go a long way, because that will definitely contribute to, you know, the musical experience and what I'm able to share with you as we do the reactions and stuff. So pretty awesome. Let's keep on going. I'm having so much fun with this.
Must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand?
It's almost enough to make you believe in Jung's notion of collective unconscious. That if there is an American collective unconscious, if you could believe in something like that, that Bobby had somehow tapped into it. And there were always these sometimes very faint resonances.
In taking all the elements that I'd ever known to make wide sweeping statements which conveyed a feeling that was in the general essence of spirit of the times. I think I managed to do that. I thought that I needed to press on, you know, and get as far into it as I could.
Wow, they are
I would like to
excited.
say that he has his finger on the pulse of our generation. Bob Dylan.
There will be singing through the night in the town of Newport.
Amazing. Well, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Let me just kind of, yeah, let me just scooch over just a little bit. That was really fun. That was really fun. Yeah, that was a really good way of seeing some additional things in terms of just kind of what he was doing at the time, who he was involved with, where was he going, where was he performing, what was his onstage presence like. I feel like a lot of that really is helping with deepening my appreciation for his work and his music. So I look forward to jumping into part C. Maybe we'll stitch this all together, or I'll upload this, and then if if we had no problems, then we'll see how it goes. But really, really good. I'm gonna move on to part C, and we can take it from there. But really exciting to see that. I feel like, this whole thing about him having his pulse on a generation or something, like, I don't disagree with that, but I also feel like it's a heavy weight to put on somebody that young. Like, they need to have room to grow without feeling pressured. And so I'm curious to know, like, how he took those things, how he took those titles, and how that might have affected his art. If anything, I can clearly see that he continued being defiant and continued having a mind of his own, which is definitely a pleasure to witness. But yeah, after we're finished with this, we move on to another side of Bob Dylan. So that's exciting. That's really exciting. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.